It is. It's because she's so miserable when she gets those things.
I saw everybody's calling me a little scooter.
Little scooter doll. They're like, where do I get a little scooter doll?
Yeah.
Have you been watching, Mary Claire, them opening up those balls?
Well, some of it, yeah. I couldn't quite understand exactly what that was because I'll be honest, sometimes like I don't fall asleep real easily at night. And that's just been something since my son died. I haven't been able to go to bed at night and turn the light off and just be alone in the dark. So I don't have television. I'm a reader. So I take a book to bed with me normally, me and my 2 dogs. And I read the book until it falls out of my hand and hits the ground. And then I can go to sleep. For some reason, I'm just still unable to turn the light out and be alone with my thoughts. It's just redundant. I just go back and I have to keep my mind busy all the time. So,
do you read?
Like I said, I didn't think this far out.
Do you read books about grief, or are they other books? Do you find the books about grief helpful?
I read all kinds of books. Yes, yeah, and then I do visit some of the there's some websites like have y'all ever heard of the Ugly Shoes Club?
No.
Okay, well, it's a really good one. It's called the Ugly Shoes Club, and it's for people that have lost children. And I've found that very helpful. So just the things since I am a reader, I think words are just really important to me. Music's another thing that really kind of it can trigger you, or anything, a smell. I guess I'm very sensory oriented, so those sort of things. Like I don't think I'll ever cook shepherd's pie again in my life. It's just because he used to like to eat it, and I don't know.
Are you comfortable going back so we know your loss?
Oh, yes, indeed. September 27th of 2017.
Carolyn?
Yes.
My son.
Did you want to wait until more people get in or no?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
We're good. Thanks.
Okay. Well, yeah. So September 27th, my son had turned 34 on September 20th. So roughly a week into his 34th year. He passed away about 3:30 in the afternoon, and they didn't find him until the next day. He happened to be in a hotel room in our hometown. We're in Lake Charles, Louisiana. So I had told Carolyn this before because they didn't find him until the next day, and so I wasn't notified until the next day. And I told her it's such a powerful thing when you have a child, and he was my first child. So I'm sure you all know just that rush that you get, and that love, and it's something completely new. And since I didn't know for a whole 24 hours, I just kept going back. And I honestly, to tell you the truth, I still do that. I go back to try to figure out what was I doing on September 27th at 3:36. And because I thought there is no way that my son's soul left this earth and I didn't feel it. Like, no, I'm not talking about feeling it as in knowing what happened, maybe just a shiver or oh God, what was that? Or that's been hard for me. And I heard you say something, Carolyn, how at the hospital, everybody, you're too calm, and you're like, I had a friend tell exact same thing. They all were worried about you because you didn't seem that upset. And I was upset, but I just had to go, there's so many things you have to do. Like I have to do this and I have to do that. And you hold it together and you kind of just don't want to believe it. Things I did it as well.
Mary Claire, your sound is like cutting out at times. I don't
She's
know if it's lagging.
freezing up.
But I'm glad I did it. Oh,
Just a little bit. It wasn't too bad. We heard most of what you said. It just at the end, like sometimes it lags and then it catches up. I don't know if there's anything you could do.
I have no idea. I've got my telephone. Like I said, I'm on my neighbor's Wi-Fi. Don't turn me.
Oh,
But,
no. Most of the times it's fine. It's just like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's what it is
Well,
then. It's the signal,
Mm-hmm.
just like
perhaps.
where I am right now.
Where are all you ladies?
Oh, I'm in New York.
I'm in Houston, so I'm not too far away from you.
Oh yeah, it's a hot day today, right?
It was.
I just came in from mowing the grass. Yeah, kind of sweaty. Yeah, it is hot. Yeah, we're almost neighbors.
Yes, my husband comes your way once a year to golf tournament out on a little island in Lake Charles.
Oh, really? Like at one of the casinos?
Um,
I know they have.
Prius or
I'm
I'll
not
ask
sure.
when he comes in.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the casinos have some really nice golf courses, so I'm not surprised. I'm not a golfer myself, but I have a lot of friends that are. So, well, like I said, I wish that I had some words of wisdom. I don't. But I do appreciate having some ladies to talk to. I know we've all said it. You don't ever want anybody, like all my friends have lost a child. So in some ways I feel a little isolated, even in my own friend group, because, and I've had people say things like, well, you need to quit dwelling on that. And I'll tear up if I hear a song and they're like, what's the matter? And well, I'm okay. Just it took me someplace else. And they're like, well, you need to stop dwelling on that. You'll never get there if you don't. Try to just take a deep breath, because I'm sure I've stuck my foot in my mouth many times in my life. And so I try not to I don't hold that against people, but at the same time, I'm not necessarily very comfortable with those people anymore, because I almost feel as if there's this divider between those of us that have lost a child and the rest of the world that hasn't, and I guess that's been very, very difficult for me. And I have to say, I've lost some friends along the way. But I suppose that's life. It's part of it. And I don't think it's their fault. I don't think it's my fault. I just think that, unfortunately for me, and I'm kind of a shy person anyway, so I think that I just tend to not want to be in an environment I'm not comfortable in. And so if there are people that they truly don't understand how we feel, and I know that, and I forgive them for that. But sadly, there are some friendships that just dive us.
So that website you said was, what was
much.
I just want to get the
But
website.
I don't know. I mean, do y'all find the same thing?
Well, my loss is new, and
Right.
I find that it's not so much because we are in the middle of nowhere. We live in the middle of nowhere. So my neighbors now, they're coming up. Some of them don't live here all year round. Some of them do. I find myself, when I'm around them, I don't want to talk about my loss. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. Even around my relatives. So just something for me right now, because I don't know whether it's that I don't want them feeling sorry for me, or whether I'm having, like, how could you even understand kind of thing, what I'm going through when, you're just worried about your next trip to somewhere else, like I just,
Yeah, all those things seem so insignificant
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
yeah. So I think it's a mixture of that, and just probably also getting to, because I'm still like in the numb stage. I still have like deny all of that, and that would be maybe more reality than I want to go there. So like my brother came up, and I had my husband go in and say, like, she doesn't want to talk about this. It came up for my birthday. So I'll talk about anything, other than that, but I'm not going to sit there, and I don't want to talk about it right now with them. But I could talk about it with like other people that have been through the loss, or even in the community a little bit, but it's just, that's one of the things, like when I ride my bike or I walk around, like I dread running into more and more people that may not know at all, or,
Yeah, I got my feelings hurt, because for me, if somebody doesn't mention it that I haven't seen, or didn't make any effort to reach out, yeah, I got my feelings hurt, and I went through Facebook, and literally went from 325 friends to 20, because I was hurt. Like, I can't imagine if someone I even knew, even as an acquaintance, losing a child, I would reach out, whether it was a note or, a phone call, something. And I think that's just me being overly sensitive. I realize that now, because I have had friends, say, well, Mary Claire, I ran into so-and-so the other day, and they didn't know Will had died. And so I've had to kind of backtrack and be more forgiving and more open. But I'm the opposite. I do talk about it a lot. But in some ways, that I've felt more blessed that way. I mean, I remember watching you in your bathroom after your son had died. You'd been to the funeral home. And, it was all, it took me back. But I can remember, I know you said you were looking for a sign, and I'll give you an example. And if I'm talking too much, y'all say, Mary Claire, shut up. That's fine. But so I moved away from my hometown. I'm about 40 miles east, more toward New Orleans now than Texas. And so it was home till died. And since I live 40 miles away, they still get my newspaper. I live in a much smaller town now. And so the day the obituary came out on the 1st of October, it was the weirdest feeling, to get up to go to the store because you want to buy the paper because your child's obituary is in it. I know you know what I'm talking about, but and so I did that, and a few of the ladies that worked there got to know me. One had lost a child, and we bonded over that. But on this other occasion, I had gone to this store, and if something hits me, I mean, and I guess I've always been this way, but in this situation, it's more. So if I just start crying at Walmart, I'm crying at Walmart. It's okay. But as women, I'm sure y'all will probably understand what I'm saying. I think women notice, they're more observant. And so in this particular case, a woman behind me, I just went and checked out crying. And I walk out of this store, and I'm, trying to get the air in my face. And so somebody behind me says, "Excuse me." I'm thinking, oh gosh, I have to talk to somebody. I'm crying. I turned around, and yes, it was a woman who was so thoughtful. She said, I can see you're having a hard time. And so she went with me to my car, and she's unloading my groceries into my car for me. And I feel like I'm going to talk about it. So I said, well, I really appreciate you doing that. And yes, I'm having a hard time. I said, I lost my son recently, and never know when it's going to hit me. And this woman, now I'm 40 miles away from my hometown, and this woman who had just followed me out, I hadn't even lived here that long. She looked at me and she said, did you write that? And I don't really know what she's talking about, but some sort of higher power. I just answered her and I said, yes, I wrote that. And I kid you not, she opened her purse. She pulled out her stranger to me. She pulls out of her wallet and unfolds a paper, and it's my son's obituary that she had cut out of the paper. And I just thought, wow, I'm not even in the town. Like, how does this woman have my son's obituary in her wallet? And she went on to explain to me that she and her mother, she had lost her brother the September before. And my son died of a drug overdose. And a lot of times I find that people are ashamed of that, and it happened to be the case in this woman's. She and her mother had cut the obituary out because they said, wow, we didn't acknowledge what happened to my brother. And we sort of regretted that, because I don't have any shame in the way that Will died. But it was just a confirmation to me that, I felt as if God was there. How could I be 40 miles from home? I don't know anybody. A woman sees me crying, helps me to my car, and then she's got my son's obituary in her purse.
That's powerful.
So I feel like that was a sign to me, if that makes sense. I feel like that was a sign.
Yeah.
And yeah, she told me about her brother, and how she and her mother were really ashamed of how he died. And so that's why they cut it out, and that's why they kept it. So, I guess just going through life and all these things, I think they make you, I believe that it's certainly made me a more empathetic person.
Mhm.
I already was to begin with, but this is a whole new level. A whole new level. And I think for me, and I kind of feel like what you've done, Carolyn, is I just think it really needs a platform for people to be able to talk about it. And I know, like you said, this is your loss is so recent. And so I just want to thank you for having the courage, especially at this stage, to open up your heart and your home and your experience. I thank you, and I've been listening to you for like a year.
Yeah, no, thanks. I mean, somebody said recently that, I know, it was a card I got from Linda.
Bring the country, and in fact the world, together, because it doesn't even matter if we speak the same language.
Yeah,
a mother that's lost a child.
Right, absolutely. And I think that there are people put in our paths for a reason, and it's like more so to me now. Like I've always said that before, but I said it about things like business,
Right,
and network, and sort of things like that. But this whole experience, I think it makes you so more in tune to every little thing that happens in life. And you look at every little thing, every little flower differently, everything differently, right? So,
okay.
and you look at the people that have come into your life very differently.
Right.
And so that's been a big awakening to me of that. And that card that Linda Ulala, she goes by Ulala in here, sent to me. And she said that basically the same thing, that I'm here for you. I believe people are put in our path. And she had dealt with a friend that had lost a child. And, so she said it was very touching, but I really do believe it, more than ever before, that it's not random. Nothing is random.
Yeah, I don't believe so either. Not at all. Not at all. It's very brave of you though, like to be so new to you.
Well, I think if I hadn't had it, I don't know where I would be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I there's nobody on, like I said, I don't have many, like my friends, I had a lot of them with my older kids. And then, so they've all they're either different places. And the ones I have with my younger kids, they're just they're more, not that close, it's not that close for me. And we live far away from everyone. So, and just the way I think now, where in my everyday life, I just don't want to go through this with a lot of people. So I wouldn't find a group like this around, or people to talk to. I have a grief counselor. I go online. We meet face to face, but my daughter goes, and my son, and we're going to integrate the kids in. But if I didn't have this community to support me when this happened, I don't know where I would be.
How are your other children doing?
I mean, my daughter, she's been going every
surviving
week.
Children.
Yeah, my daughter's been going every week with me, and she's facing a lot of the things that I am, just not still in the denial, the numb phase. We are all like that, I think, still. And my son, who is the closest to Ray, he feels the loss, and he has got to work at the same business. See, it's very hard because
never
right there where you picture him, and now people come up who haven't been up all season, and the first thing they're going to say is, where's, so it's kind of explaining that. But I think he's thrown himself into this renovating of an apartment he was doing, and he's trying to keep himself busy. He got a dog and things that, on the outside he's doing well, but I know there's a lot more. So that's why, he's going to be going there.
No, it's probably, yeah. Like the equivalent, like me trying to read until I just fall, the book falls. Right. Because I can't have any downtime. Still, I still can't. I can picture him standing, in a window. My car, it's an odd thing, but actually on September 27th, the second anniversary, so September 27th of 2019, I had an appointment with my doctor in Lake Charles, and it was a big day because it was the anniversary of the death. And so I drove to Lake Charles to go to this appointment, and I had about 15 minutes. So I turned to go in to get a vitamin water or something to drink while we were talking. And literally from turning into the parking lot to parking, my car caught on fire. So it was the exact same day, 2 years later, at the exact same time. And I just cracked the door. The fire was in the car. It started in the dash. So I just got out and slammed the door so it wouldn't give it any more oxygen. And yeah, when the fire trucks got there and opened all 4 doors, it blew up.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And it was so weird. This is going to sound so silly, but maybe y'all can understand. I mourned that because that car was the last car he rode in with me. And I would sometimes catch myself driving back and forth. I go to Lake Charles often because that's just where I grew up and my friends are. But, as long as I had that car, I would be driving home and I would look over to the passenger seat. And in my mind, it was almost tangible to me, like I could reach out and touch him. So the fact that the car really just self-destructed on the anniversary of
Wow.
his death. It's just like, okay, God, like, what now, you know? And it feels silly in a way that, because a car is just a car. But in my mind, you know, 3 days before he died, he was sitting in that seat and I was talking to him. And so it's amazing the things you just don't think of that, like, I thought about selling this house and just moving back to where I came from. But, you know, this is the last house I saw him in. So yeah, it's, it can be a heavy, a heavy
Are
load.
your other children nearby or are they back in Lake Charles?
Both of them are in Lake Charles, and his brother, it's sort of similar, I guess, to Carolyn. Those boys were very, very close. And so honestly, yeah, his brother has really gone into a downward spiral. And, you know, I think I think he has a lot of guilt because he had been with Will when this was happening. And, you know, so he has a lot to deal with. I would imagine he feels very guilty. You know, I had always told them, and I told him, you know, whatever you do, don't ever glamorize or sensationalize, or I don't want to hear you talking to him, because Will had been away in rehab and came home. And he actually called me ahead of time and said, Mom, I don't even want Michael to know I'm coming home because I'm afraid to be around him. I don't want to do this anymore. And so, you know, I didn't tell Michael he was coming home, but I did say, when you see your brother, whatever you do, don't sensationalize or glorify. You know, I don't want to hear you saying, oh, well, remember when we got home, we had this much fun. And like, no, you know, don't let that be on your shoulders, because if Will goes off rails again, he'll die. And 3 days later, he died. It was the weirdest thing. You know, I knew it. It's almost like I knew it. I had a Bible study on that Monday. He died on a Wednesday. And somehow I knew. And like I said, I haven't lived in this town long, especially when that happens. So I went to the Bible study that Monday. I wasn't getting, I was crying and I thought, no, I'm home. But then I thought, no, Mary Claire, that's exactly where you need to be. Crying or not, you need to just go to the Bible study. It'll be good. You'll be around a group of women that are positive role models and very supportive, even though I didn't know them very well. So if we all kind of get there at the same time and they all notice I'm crying, and they're like, what's the matter? And I said, Will's gonna die. And I know they looked at me like, oh, no, just come on in. And, you know, they're hugging me. And I'm sure if I had heard somebody say that, you know, oh, so-and-so's gonna die, I'd have thought, oh, bless her heart. Oh, my battery's going off.
Oh, no.
Oh, I would say bless her heart because she thinks her kid's gonna die. Well, within 48 hours, he was dead. And so I think they were all shocked, but somehow I knew he was not going to be okay. But, you know, we don't, I don't know. I guess when you have a child, though, who's an addict, you have that fear for a long time. So I knew, or I felt like I knew. I mean, I guess in your case, it was an accident, you know, but in my case, Will's father had died of an overdose in a hotel room. 20 years later, Will's dies in a hotel room of an overdose. So, it's not something I didn't fear for a long time. Sadly, though, that day I decided to employ tough love and block the phone numbers and just thought, I can't, this is going to kill me. And so I didn't even realize until the coroner gave me his phone back and I could go through his phone that he had tried to call.
He had tried to call. We lost you again. Hopefully. I don't know.
She's frozen.
It might be her battery, she said. Oh, it probably was.
Maybe she'll call back.
Charge back, maybe, yeah. Oh,
And something I picked up on, Carolyn, on your birthday, when all the other ramblers were like, oh, you need to be happy, it's your birthday or whatever, and you had a tough day. And I've tried to educate my mom, and you don't try to talk somebody out of whatever they're feeling, no matter if it's your birthday or whatever. You have to feel, and it's so new for you.
right, yeah.
Mary Claire's back. Did you see her?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I had
Oh,
to plug
sorry.
in.
So you were just in the middle, you were just saying something and you cut
Oh.
out.
No, I just said, I do think that it's different when you have a child that is an addict.
You were saying about the phone number. You said he tried to, did you say?
Right. When the coroner gave me the phone back, I saw where he had tried to text me and he had tried to call me right before he died. And of course, again, these ladies, because it was one of the ladies I was talking to at the time, and that morning, she said, you need to just do tough love and you need to block the numbers because you're so stressed. And I said, okay, and then when I told her later, that he tried to call me, and she's like, well, yeah, but you did the right thing. And I'm like, how can you say that? Like, that would have been the very last, I think he called me for a reason. And if you knew that was going to be the very last time you talked to your child, and to think I blocked his phone number. So yeah, I guess tough love is a good thing. I'll always regret not picking up that phone, but those are just the things we have to live with, At least, think of the parents, and I'm sure there are many who their last words to their children were not pleasant.
Right.
Or, and at least I saw him the night before and I told him I loved him. So that was good. Hush, boys. I'm sorry. Y'all, I pay attention to my dogs now. I usually let them bark. They're usually kind of intimidating. A month ago, my next door neighbor, whom I don't even really know, came over here at 1 a.m. and smashed a pry bar through my front window, sent glass flying. So now when the dogs bark, I pay attention.
Yeah.
That was really
why'd they do that?
That was scary. I don't know. The police said they thought he was drinking, and he was naked when he did this.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It was really just,
Oh my goodness.
very strange. That's why when the dogs bark now, I usually just say hush, but
Yeah.
now
right.
I look out the window.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was bizarre. Very, very bizarre. But at least he didn't get in. That was nice. Well, what about, what are your other, you ladies, what are y'all's stories? I feel like I'm just rambling.
Bonnie, you want to share?
Oh, Bonnie, you're on mute.
Yeah, I had.
Okay. Because I.
Yeah. Well, Mary Claire, I am, let's see, our daughter Amelia, she was only 11 when she passed away unexpectedly, December 1st of 2017. So, I don't know if you found it the same. I found the second year to be extremely difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what everybody would say, because I guess the first year you just you're still in shock. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, how could this get even harder than it is now?
I know.
And then that second year, yeah, it was pretty bad. And, you know, we do have guilt with Amelia because she had the flu, and we had just thought that it was just like any other time that she had it, or that our
Right.
two kids had it, you know, I mean, every kid gets it. And, but, you know, and she just, the morning that she died, it just, everything happened so quickly, you know, and my husband, he's a chiropractor, you know, and so he has had immense guilt over it because he says, I should have known that something was wrong with her. You know, he's like, I should have known that
Yeah.
she was worse than what she was. And we realized that, you know, she was like, we had no control over it. But as a parent, you just think, well, your child is sick. We know that if we would have known how sick she really was, we would
And
have.
was it just the flu?
Yeah, well, the flu, well, her death certificate says a virus, but the year that she died, that was like the worst flu that we've had in like a decade or something. And like a lot of kids died that year, and a lot of people died, like over 66,000 people died that year from the flu alone. And there was a lot of
Wow.
died, you know, but she was always healthy, you know, and she had always rebounded from, you know, a cold or a flu or, you know, whatever before. And it didn't seem anything out of the ordinary, you know, but the coroner said that we had an autopsy done on her, and it just said, her death certificate said that she died from myocarditis caused by a virus. And that means that her heart got infected. So the virus
Right.
attacked, you know, and that's ultimately.
She was 11?
She was 11. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
sorry.
And so, I mean, we still have a lot of guilt about it. I still, you know, think about it. She did die in front of me, so she didn't die, you know,
Alone.
my husband was, he had gone up to check our lake house, because it's 2 hours away from here, and she was feeling better the night that he left. He said, I'm just gonna run up there real quick and I'll be back tomorrow. I just want to make sure
Right.
everything's okay. And she told him, Daddy, it's okay, go ahead, I feel better. And we thought she was gonna go to school the next day, but then when she went to bed, she started feeling, you know, bad again, you know, just, she was dry heaving a little bit, and then she just went to sleep, and then she woke me up at like 4:45 on Friday morning, and by 5:45 she was gone. I mean, it just went so fast. And my two kids were here at the time. She was our baby, so she was 11 at the time, and then we have our oldest is our son. He was a sophomore at the time, and then our second daughter, Maddie, was a freshman. And so, you know, they woke up to me screaming, and
Right.
Maddie and Amelia had just 2 months before that taken safe sitter classes at the YMCA together because they wanted to start babysitting together, you know, so they both learned CPR. So poor Maddie rushes in thinking I can save her, and she's doing CPR, you know, on Amelia. And I knew Amelia was already gone, you know, by that time, but she insisted. And then Jack was trying to call 911 because I was trying to call 911, and they changed the system, and I kept getting switched around and disconnected.
No.
Yeah, it was awful. And so he ran outside and was out in the front yard, you know, trying to call them, and then waiting for them. And, you know, the shock and stuff I know that Carolyn was talking about, you know, when you're at the hospital, I mean, I just knew that she was, you know, I don't know, that she was already gone. So just sitting in that hospital, I just like thought, what's the point of them even trying anything? You know, but I knew that they had to, but I just knew in my heart of heart that she was, you know, she wasn't going to make it. And so they did get her heartbeat going, you know, here at the house. But you know, you just know. I don't know. I just knew from what she looked like and just what had happened prior, you know, to that she was gone. And it is a struggle, obviously, every day. You know, I wish every day that she was still here. And I do grief counseling, and the kids do grief counseling, you know, too. And you were talking earlier about like friends, you know, and losing friends. And I've lost two friends that I was friends with for over 20 years. And like, they didn't even tell me sorry. They didn't send me a
I know,
card.
doesn't that just, I mean, that blows
Yeah.
my mind. I would never, ever, ever.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know. I'll never understand that.
Yeah. I guess like my counselor said, you know, it's just that, you know, I'm a reminder to them of, you know, of the reality of losing a child. So they can't face me. But I think, well, that's awfully selfish because
I don't understand that.
you know, we were friends for over 20 years, and
Wow.
you know, hung out a lot together and, you know, did stuff together, and they didn't come to her services. They didn't send a card. I still to this day have not heard anything from them. And I've seen one of them in
Who
particular.
was that, Bonnie? Who was that?
I'm not going to say on here. I'll tell you in private.
Okay.
You know them though, Mother. You've been around them too.
Oh, that would just,
But I see
yeah.
one of them a lot at school because her two boys are the same age as my son, and they graduated together, and she just looks at me and like just turns and walks away, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know.
that
like,
would just, yeah.
ew.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I would think that she would want to come up to me and like just hug me and be like, wow, you know, I'm very sorry.
Right. I mean,
She just doesn't.
yeah. So, I mean, because a lot of people, I think Carolyn said earlier, you know, people don't want to bring up their name. It hurts my feelings when they don't bring up his name. Like, he is ever much as a part of me and my family as he was when he was living and breathing.
Yes. Yeah. And I did mention that.
You
in the-
know, and I
I
love
would-
to hear his name. I love to hear people talk about him. And I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's up to us as their parents to make sure that people do remember them. And I do, and my brother, him and I are very close. And, you know, he even asks me, is it okay if I talk about Amelia? And I'm, yes, absolutely. You know,
Please.
about her. You might remember something about her that I don't, or you might have a little funny story about her that I wasn't
Right.
part of when we were together.
That you didn't know or hadn't heard.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know, they can be very, I don't know, you do really learn who your friends are when you lose a
I was
child.
surprised by that, though, to lose them.
Yeah. Yeah. But then
Yeah.
also too, on
Very
the other side, you also find people that become your friends that you never thought.
You
know,
find
they
new
step-
friends, right?
and they're there for you, and you're like, oh, okay, I knew you, you know, we were acquaintances, but you know,
Right.
now it's like, you know, a couple of people I've become really close to, and you know, because they
Mhm.
want to be there for myself and my family, you know, and
Right.
I'm very grateful, you know, to them. And I don't really have any resentment anymore towards the few friends that, you know, I don't talk to, you know, because they can't handle it, because that's on them. You know,
Right.
you know, I hope someday they might come to me and be like, look, I'm really sorry that, you know, I backed away from you. But if they don't, I know that it's not me personally, that, you know,
Right.
it's
Yeah,
just,
it's something in them. You're right. It's
Yeah.
not you. But it
Yeah.
still hurts.
it
I mean,
does.
it hurts.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
hurts. Because
But,
I'll
you know-
see people that have known me my whole life, and they won't mention it. And I just walk away thinking, that's odd. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It,
but I
it just hurts.
bring
It
it up.
hurts.
Problem bringing it up, you know, if I want to, if, and then that way, then they know, oh, okay, well, it is okay if I talk about her because you're talking.
Mhm.
But then sometimes people get uncomfortable and they want to change the subject because they're so uncomfortable talking about Amelia. I'm just like, don't be uncomfortable talking about her. I mean,
No,
I
it gives me
cried.
joy.
yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah. So,
Yeah, I just, I don't know, you know, I can still hear his voice. A friend of his had gotten a voicemail from him the night before, and she saved it and sent it to me.
Mhm.
So, but sometimes I just can't listen to it.
yeah, I have voicemails from Amelia, and my mom had 2 scooters. She has some too, because Amelia loved to do prank calls, and she
Right.
would like, you know, she would call my mom, and you know, she'd be like, this is Amelia, or this is, you know, so and so from the so my mom has, you know, voicemails
That's
from
cute.
Amelia, you know, saying, and I know it's hard, my mom can't bring herself to listen to those, but and
I haven't even listened.
I know you have. I haven't listened to her voicemails, but I have videos of her like on Instagram, you know, and stuff.
Oh.
And I've been able to go back and, you know, watch those. And, you know, there are days where I can watch them and I'm happy and I'm laughing. And then there's other days where I watch them and I just bawl, you know, it's such a roller coaster of emotions, even, you know, 2.5 years later, you know, and this has been really rough the last couple of weeks because Amelia would have been 14 on May 29th, you know, and her best friend, you know, texts me, you know, like a couple days before that to check on me and see how I am, you know, and
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, and they would have been, you know, freshmen this year, so that's really hard because Amelia was looking so forward to going to high school, and you know, she
Yeah.
wanted to be a teenager so bad, and she didn't make it even 12, you know, but she wanted to be 13 so badly, and you know, it's just, it is very hard. It's with time you just kind of learn, I don't know, just it does get a little bit easier to like each day to deal with it, so to say, but it doesn't mean that the pain is any less, because the pain is exactly as it was that day that Amelia died. Like that pain is never going to ease up.
Yeah.
It's just somehow as time.
Sometimes I like the days when you cry. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like that's cathartic. It's sort of like a pressure cooker. And when I can let that out, I can breathe a little easier for some reason. So.
And I know I've really hard since she's passed away, when I meet new people or something and, you know, they ask me, oh, so how many kids do you have? You know?
Right.
And, you know, at first I would just be like, you know, oh, you know, I have 2 kids, but now anymore I say, well, I have 3 kids, you know, but you know, one of them did pass away, because I think if they're uncomfortable with it, I don't care, because you know what, I do have 3 kids. And
Me too.
Amelia
Yeah,
may
me
not,
too.
but she is still my child, and I will always have 3 children.
And very much a part of your life and your family.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, there's not a day that goes by.
Yeah.
It's not in my thoughts. And I'm kind of like you. I was really surprised. When I made it to the year mark, I sort of felt like, okay, wow. I thought I was doing well, but then literally 1 month into the second year, I just, you know, I live alone. Like my father died in 2012, my husband died in 2014, and then my son died in 2017. And so at that point, you know, I did a really stupid thing and then tried to take my own life. Was not successful, but it opened my eyes to a lot of things. And yeah, it was really weird, because it was only a month into that second year. And because my son died in 2017 as well. So basically after that happened, I knew I needed professional help, because and that has helped, because that's a safe zone. You know, when you go to a counselor like that, there's no judgment. You know, there's nobody saying, what do you mean you did this? Or what do you mean you tried to kill yourself? I mean, you know, it's a safe place, and that's helped me. And, you know, my son he had a 13-year-old child. When Will died, Brendan was 13. So, you know, that helped me. There's so much about him that reminds me of Will. And, you know, also, I'll never forget that day, because my grandson's mother called and she was crying and said, I've got to go pick Brendan up from school. She's like, how do I tell this 13-year-old boy that his father's dead? And I said, well, I can help you, because I had to tell my 13-year-old son that his father was dead. It was just such a weird way that it played out, you know, because I said, well, I know exactly how to do that, because I've had to do that. And that was another like interesting thing, because I'll never forget, my father came over to tell me that my boy's father had died in Houston. He was actually in Houston. And I knew something was wrong when my father came that early. And Michael, my middle child, had been, he was asleep still. And my daughter was there. And my father came in and said, well, do you want me to be with you when you go tell Michael? And I said, yeah, I guess so. And we were walking to the door, and I put my hand on Michael's doorknob to open it. And my 9-year-old daughter like shot him, and she hit my wrist off the door and knocked it away. And I looked at her and I said, Laura Beth, what are you doing? And she said, don't wake him up. And I said, why? And she said, Mom, she said, the minute you walk in there and wake him up and tell him his father's dead, you know, his life will change forever. And if you let him sleep a little longer, he has his father. Don't go in there and wake him up. And I thought, my gosh, she's only 9 years old.
Wow.
Wow.
But she
That's-
was right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was no point in this child because once he woke up, it was never going to be the same. So it's amazing. I guess I'm glad I have my memories. I hope I don't start losing that. But yeah, just to think about how life plays out, and some
We lose her again.
Well, she's still there. She's just frozen.
Yeah, we might have lost her. Mary Claire.
Her signal might come back
it's
in.
just sad.
Oh, there.
I that way, and now Will that way. I'm really hoping that Will's child can break the cycle somewhat, hopefully, because I'd hate to see it happen again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're very blessed to have your grandson, because you've still got a piece of your
Yeah,
son then with you. Because I know, like for us, that you know, we lost Amelia, you know, so we mourn that loss. But then I also think, gosh, we were gypped out of so much with her. You know, she's never going to have kids. She's never will have her first kiss. She will never be married. Not going to get grandkids from her. Like, she's not going to go to graduate high school, college. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to get to see who she would have been. And I know she would have been something spectacular, because she was
right.
she was just so very, very smart. And, you know, so you just mourn all of these things when you lose all the dreams that you had for your child, and all the dreams that, you know, that they had. They're fun. And it's just really, you know, so I know, you're so blessed to still have
I am.
You really are.
It was hard to see him go through it, but again, you know, initially he was angry, you know, and I think any child who has a parent that's an addict, they don't understand, you know, well, why it seems maybe that they don't love them as much. And initially Brendan was mad, he was angry, but less than 24 hours later, you know, he walked out into the room and told us all that he said, I'm not mad anymore. He said, because if I were to hold that in my heart, he's 13. He said, then my dad couldn't rest in peace. And he said, I don't want that. And I'm not angry. And I just thought, wow, he's a bigger person than I am, you know? And I was just like, sometimes they really amaze you. But it's still, you know, I'm thinking about Father's Day's coming up, and I just feel bad for him, you know, because he doesn't have a dad anymore. So that's just sad. But he's doing good. I mean, he's doing great in school, and you know, has I think he's going to be one of those that will go completely the opposite way, because he's just seeing what addiction can do to people, and it just takes the light away from them. And so that's my prayer, that he'll be one of the ones that goes the opposite direction. So that's what I hope for.
Yeah.
What state do you live in? Where are you?
Me? I'm in Indiana. Did she freeze again?
I think so. It's a shame that it keeps cutting out, because you. Oh,
There she is.
I don't know if you heard me, Mary Claire. I'm in Indiana. Frozen again.
Tammy, did you want to say something about what your week, or do you want to talk about that, or?
Yeah, I can. And it's different for me losing him at birth, but you still grieve all those memories of what he would have been. He was our second son. We had just moved in a one-story house because the townhouse we were living in, you had to go up a flight of stairs to get to the living areas. And I had a 2-year-old, and then I was 8 months pregnant when we left. I'm like, I just want a one-story house. So we moved in, and I was having we had a moving company and stuff, but I was having bad contractions back then. And Bob's like, don't pick up anything, don't do anything. But when my mom called today, she's like, I remember you having us over for Father's Day that Sunday. And, you weren't really feeling any move, and Bob was checking you. And do you remember we drove, they lived about 20 minutes away, and they left. And then at night they came back, and she said, it was just a mother's tuition. Do you remember us coming back and checking on you? I said, I do. And so when we called her at 4 a.m. saying we were heading to the hospital, because my water broke, she came up and watched Andrew, and she said she just had a bad feeling. And so she called my sister and said, I'm dropping Andrew off to you, and I'm heading to the hospital. So I think when I went in for my emergency C-section, my mom was still over with my sister, and they both came together and left Andrew with my nephew that was, I think, 18 at the time. So, but just how all the little wheels went in motion. My brother, I just heard this today for the first time in 24 years, but my brother lived probably 20 minutes away from me, but he already had gotten the job in Beaumont, which is an hour and a half away. So he was heading over there that morning, and we have a great big humongous real high bridge that the ships go under for the Houston ship channel. And he says he didn't hear, or he didn't see an angel, but he felt that it was either an angel talking to him or God talking to him saying, turn around, you need to turn around. And he's like, this is Tam's, second child. I'll be there probably before she delivers. And went ahead for an hour and a half. And I can't remember. I don't think we had texting in those days. I'm almost positive we didn't. And so I think his wife called him right when he got to work that day, over an hour and a half away, and said, turn around. And he's like, I knew it. So she was just crying and crying, just bringing up things. So it was heavy on my heart. And my sister-in-law, my brother's, I only have one sister-in-law. She's never on Facebook. And so every year, she left me a long message last night saying, me and Greg both love you, and thinking of our little buddy. And she's an interior decorator. So with Ian's Bible card, or those cards at the funeral home, it was oh gosh, I forget it's Mary holding Jesus when he loses his sandal. I forget what that is, but that was on the front of it. And then on the back, I think it was Our Father prayer, and she had framed it and used this fabric in the back. And she had, a photo wall displayed. Well, they lived in a beautiful mansion up in Dallas, and my mom and dad were up there. This is probably 5 years ago. And my nephew was getting into the shower after New Year's Eve party, and the floor was warm going into the shower. And he was talking to his girlfriend and said, the floor is warm or whatever. And I forget what she said. Well, he got out of the shower and was going back to his room. And that's when he saw the smoke coming up from the first floor before the smoke detectors went off. So their house they lost everything that night. They had to run out of the house with their PJs on, and my mom and dad were up there. Their car totally got destroyed, and they stayed all night at a neighbor's house in the neighborhood. And when the fire trucks had to come in with the ladders, and everything was destroyed. So the next morning they went over there, and the stuff was still smoldering and stuff. But I think both of them, my mom and my sister-in-law and my dad, had all taken off their wedding rings, and my brother had taken off his Aggie ring. And the fireman said, yeah, you can look over here, but being that I think mom and dad's bedroom was up, and they locked the second floor, just concaved onto the first floor. And she said there was a beam of light shining down on just char, and it was the prayer card, my Ian's prayer card. Nothing was touched on it, just
Oh my
white
God.
and smolder. And she said that beam of sunlight, I think she took a picture at one time, but she said your little buddy got us through. And my sister, she called, she had hope 2 months later after losing Ian. So it just means the world. And I'm sure you all know too, it does mean the world when somebody says Ian Patrick and Amelia and Will and Ray. I mean, it means the world to you. And so for Bob just wore a shirt the other day for Father's Day. I made him in 2004, and I put all the kids' handprint, footprint, and then I had Ian up here with little angel wings or whatever. So we just had that on the other day. So for Father's Day, I'll always put, and he always does too, Andrew, Ian, and Abby in the birth order that they were born in. So, but I hadn't been out there right when I lost him 24 years ago. I had to go to the cemetery every day, and I knew he was in heaven, but I don't know. It was I don't know. It brought me comfort. That's the only thing I can say. It brought me comfort. And then as years go by, now I can, I think I was out there Christmas time, because I took out old Christmas decorations and decorated it. So that's it.
Thanks. So yeah, that's crazy. It's story about that prayer card. Wow.
I know.
That's amazing.
It is. I'll have to find that picture.
Yeah.
And I know that I say a lot, too, with that second year, being rough, but I know, Carolyn, for you, especially because when I was at the point so early on, I think I mentioned before, I wanted to just know that at some point I was going to be okay, that like I was going to be able to, so I don't want you to focus on that when I.
No, I've heard that a lot. And even in the books that I've read, just because you're so numb going through the first year.
Yes.
And so.
Because I do find joy, in things, now it's, and I don't know if this has happened to you yet or with you, Tammy, but like now for all of us, my son Jack just got home. It's like everything is like before Amelia and after Amelia. It's so weird how that happened.
100%.
Like, so that was a big change too, because that's like how our lives are defined now. Whereas before, when Amelia was still here, you didn't really think, you know what I mean? It was like,
No, I wrote a blog post on that very thing, because I think all the time, like, especially now, like if I see something, that happened April 6th. Oh, that was before my life changed.
yes.
I think about everything on May 6th, that your life changed, my life changed forever. So.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Where can we read your blog post?
That's mommyramblings.org.
Oh.
So I've been writing there. I have several posts about it, but yeah, I do say that it's a clear before and after. That's it, and you could think back, like even when I go back and see a video, I'm like, I made that May 5th. Yeah, that was before that,
Oh. And even for me, just being pregnant with Ian, every restaurant we went into, oh, this is the last Mexican San Lorenzo's the last time when I was pregnant with him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When Mary Claire was talking about, being upset that her car had burned, we need to get Jack a dependable car to get back and forth, to college, because he'll be 2 hours away, and he's got a truck right now, but it's good for around town, but not, traveling long distances. And my husband suggested, oh, well, maybe we'll just give him your car and then we'll get you a new car. And I said, oh, no. I'm running my car into the ground, because that was the last car that Amelia, rode in, and every time when I would look in the back seat, I would see that little face, back there, so I'm like, this has a lot of sentimental value to me, and I'm, going to, hold on to it. And one thing that the kids and I like to laugh about is that one day we were actually driving over to my husband's clinic for whatever reason. And on the way there, Amelia was like, oh my gosh, mommy. She's like, I don't know what's wrong, but I think I'm gonna, and she just threw up all over the back seat. And Jack was sitting next to her, and he was like, oh no, and Maddie was up front. And we laugh about that all the time, and I said, my next car, she wouldn't have thrown up like that in, so I'm going to hold on to this car as long as I can, because we have a lot of good memories. We, went to a lot of places in that car. And so you do just tend to hold on to those things. And like her bedroom, I haven't messed with her room. Her bed actually stayed unmade for about probably almost 2 years. I wouldn't let anybody touch it, because that was exactly how it was when she passed away, how she left it when she got up out of that bed. Her dirty clothes are actually still in her hamper, whether
you let me go in there. Remember, I asked you a couple times. You've let me go in there a couple times.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And sit in there.
Yeah, it was, but it was about almost 2 years when I was like, okay, I have to, I'm going to make her bed. So I stripped her bed and I washed everything, and then I remade it. But her clothes are still in there. Everything on her desk is still, everything is exactly how she left it. The only thing that's different is I have boxes from school, because in middle school she had her locker and stuff, and they cleared out her locker and brought that to us. And then they had, all the kids in her grade made pictures and stuff and wrote her letters and hung them all over the walls. And so I have a huge box, with those, and those are sitting in the middle of her room along with her backpack. I just can't bring myself yet to do anything. I can't pack up her clothes. All of her clothes are still in her closet, her toys, her drawers, everything, just because I go in there and I'm just like, this is still Amelia's room. This still is hers, and I'll go in there.
You might think of making a quilt with her clothes.
I have thought about that.
One of my friends that lost her 5-year-old, the little blue jean skirt. And I mean, you think it has to be all flat, but it doesn't. Little ruffles on her blue jean skirt. It's just adorable.
Oh, yeah. I thought about doing that. There's a lady here in town that does that for a lot of the kids, especially that are in theater or different sports. And she takes all their theater shows, their shirts that they were in, and, makes quilts out of them. But at this point, I just still can't bring myself to, to do that. And then she had this little gray.
You don't have to. You can keep that like that if you want for the rest of your life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whatever gives you comfort.
Yeah. At some point, I will probably have something like that done. I'm just not there yet, But she had a little gray schnauzer stuffed animal that I got her up in Michigan. We got her at Kmart when she was 5 years old, and she slept with that thing every night, even up until the day she died. And she called him Gray, and I made sure that Mark put that stuffed animal in our safe, so that if something, one of my biggest fears, aside from losing one of my other kids now, I mean, you always have that fear before you lose a child, but after you lose a child, it's magnified a million times. So
yes,
I'm always terrified of that now, but my other fear is our house is going to burn down and I'm going to lose everything of Amelia's. I don't, so the things that she held most important to her are in a safe, so that it's, God forbid, if that does happen, I have those few things of hers that she absolutely loved that I know that I'll always, have, forever. Cause I couldn't even, the thought of losing those things, I would probably go crazy. Then it's the things we hang on to, that just, because I don't know, just the memories that they have. And it's just one last little piece of them that, we keep, And then my mom and I actually went and got tattoos for the 1 year anniversary of Amelia's passing. I said I had purple hair for the first year because Amelia's favorite color was purple. So I dyed my hair purple and had my hair purple for the first year. And then I said, for the 1 year anniversary, I wanted to get a tattoo. So I found in her room a book from 5th grade that she had, drawn all these pictures on the front. And she drew her name in cursive. She wrote her name and then wrote it in a heart. And so I got that. I don't know if you can like my arm.
Oh.
Can't really see it. It's not really good, but yeah. And then my mom, Amelia had drawn a sun. And what did she put in it, Mom? Just add sun. What does it say?
You just add sunshine.
Just add sunshine. Yeah, my mom got on this part of her arm, And now I'm going to be taking Jack in. He turned 18 back in December. And so I promised him that he can get a tattoo of something that she had done. So she drew a heart or a cross, and then she wrote a little saying under, I can't remember exactly what it said, but he's going to get that over his heart and have that done. So it's nice because every time I look down at my arm now, I see Amelia's name, and her signature. So, and that's brought me some, comfort too, just having that, because I feel like she's always with me, but just seeing her name every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Carolyn, have your jewelry come in yet?
No, they just sent me the proof for the urn because his picture is being engraved on. It's marble.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been going back and forth. Like they first they said, they had to change the resolution, and then we had to work on and actually today they just sent me like the proof for I finally said it's all good. So I think it'll be soon. But yeah, I am looking for that because it's going to be his thumbprint and some of his ashes and some of his hair in the same piece of jewelry.
Love it.
So yeah, and then I'm looking to have his urn, just have a special place for that. And I know my son Michael's getting a couple of different things. My daughter's getting jewelry, and so, yeah, it's the little boys are getting the thumbprint. They didn't get in the ashes because my daughter's like, oh, if they lose that, so at least if they lose the thumbprint, they can make it. But yeah, so that's.
Did you get rings like this, Carolyn? I'm going to hold it up. I don't know, because this is Amelia's thumbprint and then her initial A in the ring. And I got one, my mom, and then my daughter Maddie and my niece Lexi each got one of these rings.
You see, I think it's his thumbprint is you can actually rub it and feel can you feel her thumb?
Yeah, we could feel it. Yep.
That's so special.
And then Jack got a big dog tag that has her thumbprint on there is really big, and you can really feel it well in that. But
yeah, that's what the boys. Did I get them? I either got the voice of. I've ordered stuff so long ago that I'm just thinking if I got them. I know Michael's got the cross. My daughter has a pendant with his thumbprint, and I think the little boys either got dog tags with his thumbprint or a cross. I can't remember now which one I ordered. It feels like it's been so long, but hopefully they should be here. I think I really want that because it seems like a long time. I mean, and I know they went back and forth with this picture on the urn, but yeah, I hope by next week or at the most 2 weeks I'll have the stuff. It's
good.
It's nice to have. I wear the ring every day. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah. And his thumbprint is there, so we can always order different things or whatever. The only thing they did give me his hair right away, and then I said, well, what about the hair? He says, well, then you can bring it down, and they'll put it in the locket with it. So I have that. It's the only thing I have here that he gave me from the funeral. But.
Nice. We got Amelia's hair too, and my mom. I think I gave my mom some too.
You did. I have it's in that velvet bag from the funeral.
I wish I had some. I might have a little bitty piece.
Yeah. Well, Ray's hair.
But they didn't do that back then. I wish they would have.
Yeah.
But they did the inking, the little feet.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah.
I'll do something with that.
Yeah.
Aww. Yeah. So it's just
it just sucks so much.
Mm-hmm. But I've decided that because I always send a Christmas card with everyone's picture.
Mhm.
And even like my older kids, they're not married. So and then if we don't get together for a family portrait, I would take little pictures and make a whole like collage of everyone throughout the year. And when he died, I thought, oh my gosh, I can't send that without him. But then I thought, I don't have to send it without him. He can
Mhm.
still go on there every year. And, I'd put a little whatever, but anyone I'm going to send that to is going to know. Right. But it's like, I wasn't going to leave him off there. And I also plan anytime we take a family picture to have a framed picture of him.
That's
Any family
nice.
picture, not to leave him off there. And even when
Yeah.
we have like the holidays, to have a chair with his picture on there.
Oh,
And when
nice.
my older kids get married, there would definitely be a picture. And I think
Yeah.
Joan D'Alessandra's mother did that all the time. She had pictures all over, and because her two youngest kids were born after Joan died. So she always kept Joan's memory alive for everyone. And that's one of the things, the first thing my son Michael said to me is, how will my kids ever know about Ray?
Mhm.
So, and I think we have to keep it, going. So
We do.
I thought about it, and that gave me comfort because I'm like, no, he's not going to be off the Christmas card. Because I thought, okay, well then I'm going to have to stop sending those cards because I'm not going to not have him on there.
Mhm.
Yep, I put him in the order of birth, and then I put in loving memory. I think
Mhm.
he's so. And we used to do a white rose in our family pictures.
Oh, nice. And see, I haven't sent out Christmas cards since she passed away, and I feel awful about it, but I just didn't know, I didn't know how to do it. I'm not sure how to do it because like you, Carolyn, I don't want to send them out without her on there. I just didn't know how to do it. And I guess I was more worried about other people's reactions.
I know. Isn't that silly? And
Yeah.
half the time, I mean, so many times, not even about things like that, but I thought about other people's reactions on things, and it's changed my decisions. And I think to myself now, like, what, why? But yeah,
Right.
what do I care what anybody, thinks? And it's, that's it. If it makes.
And those photographers now do the shadow of them. I just love that.
Oh no, I haven't seen that. What do you mean?
Yes. Like the families all holding hands, and there's a shadow, like there'd be a shadow of Ray's height. It's not,
Oh.
it's him, but it's a shadow form of him.
Oh,
It's
wow.
beautiful.
I've never seen that. If you could send me a link, I'd like to see.
I sure will.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
And did you get the link? Ugly Shoes Club is what Mary Claire said.
Oh, right. No, I didn't. Did you send that to me, or you put it in the group?
No, I wrote it down. Ugly Shoes Club.
Ugly Shoes Club. Okay. Yeah, I'll look that up because I know Open to Hope, and then of course Compassionate Friends, and those have a lot of resources. But the books, I don't know. That's why I asked Mary Claire if she's been reading the books. The books bring me a lot of comfort because, just like also talking to you guys that understand that they validate what you're going through. Because sometimes people mean well and they say horrible things, or sometimes on YouTube they really say horrible things just to say horrible things, So it's like you just no, like just the thing about screaming in the car, and somebody just, who said that? Oh, Ivy Lynn said that about screaming in the car even last night. But I remember when I shared that somewhere, somebody wrote like, you shouldn't be screaming in the car because you're a danger to everyone on the road, and you're a danger to yourself, and you should not be screaming in your car. And I just thought like, oh my gosh, I was like on a country road. There was no other car. Like, I don't know whether she thought I was like driving down the highway, not paying attention. But I was going to the funeral home, and that's when I said, I'm just like, why would she even say that? Like if she was so concerned about, but like, then I think, okay, well, did she say it? But I don't think this person said it to be mean. I think she was thinking like, oh my gosh, you're killing yourself, driving. But then there have been really downright mean comments that were meant to be mean and hurtful. And those have, been like that. But then you think like those people, what their opinion doesn't matter at all. They have no idea what they're talking about, and they're really not nice people. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and they're not really giving it any thought, they're just wanting to say something, and be mean. That's how I feel.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there'll always be people like that. Like I told you the last time, that lady that said, oh, you have 2 other kids, so it should be okay for you that you lost, a
Right,
child. I have
right.
2 kids. And, you know, that was somebody in, you know, real life saying that to me, somebody that I knew and that knew Amelia as well. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
wait, you can't be that ignorant to think that, you know, but yeah, she was and she is, you know, so I
But
just thought, okay.
sometimes even people say, like, they say to me, like, oh, you've got to get, not, they don't say get over this, like this, I mean, in the very early days, but you've got 4 other children.
Mhm.
You have to, you know, be here for, like, I mean, immediately, like right after, you know, like as if, and I never even said like, I'm going to go and kill myself or something, right? I didn't
Right.
say anything like that, but like they would say, like, I think that's what they, remember, you have 4 other kids you have to be here for.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, thanks for reminding me. Like I heard it
Yeah.
all, right? You know, that I have 4
You're
other
gonna
kids.
forget that.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like constant, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That just bothered me. But like, I know those people didn't mean bad things, but I guess they were just trying to say, you've got other things to live for. Don't think your whole life is over. Don't, you know, do something desperate. I don't know what they were, where their heads were, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
think-
would stay hours at Barnes and Noble. I mean, I bought, I don't even know how many self-help loss books. Then I
Mhm.
donated them all to a lady that runs a place in Arizona for
Mhm.
her library.
Yeah, the books were a great comfort to me, like right in, especially right in the
Mhm.
beginning, because it didn't feel like a lot of people, like they didn't. I didn't know anybody really in my own life that had gone through this, and I just wanted to hear like all the things. Because I remember thinking like, are a lot of these things normal? I even wrote it in one of my blog posts early on, and then as soon as I read this one book, and these people said the exact same thing, and I just remember being like, oh my gosh, they said the exact same thing. So yeah, that numbness, like that scared the life out of me, the numbness. Because I just
Yeah.
kept saying, what is wrong with me? Like, I actually told them, I said, something's wrong with me. Can someone please check me? Because something's wrong with me. And they kept saying, nothing's wrong. What do you think is wrong with you? I said, but I don't feel any, and I didn't feel anything. I mean, nothing. And
Mhm.
they said, don't you understand? You're in shock, and that's denial. And it's protecting you. You're not going to feel anything. You might not feel anything for a year.
Mhm.
But that scared me so bad, because you think how you're going to react in a certain situation.
Mhm.
And the panic set in right away. Like maybe you could have heard it on that call I was on.
Mhm.
Then as soon as that, like as soon as that other feeling came over me, and it just, I was calm and so numb. And like, I was not even in this light, you know, I was just, yeah, it was the strangest thing.
Yeah. 'Cause
And
you were-
then did you get on and talk to us in your tub, or was it when you were in your van going to the funeral home crying? Which came first?
Let me see. So that night I just wrote a post when I got back. I didn't get on. And then I think the next day no, actually, it wasn't the next day I went to the funeral home. So I think I talked to you guys before I was going to the funeral home. It might have been like early in the morning, like the next day would be almost the day I was going to the funeral home. But early in the morning, I think because I went to bed, I was going to bed like 11 o'clock, and I woke up like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I came down, and I said, I have to go to the funeral home today. And
Mhm.
yeah, and then I spoke after I got out of, like that evening.
And was it that night that you got up at 4 that your husband said he's here, and your little one
That
said
was
something?
that was the first night. Yeah, like yeah, I had just gone to the bathroom, and I came back, and then Jimmy said, Ray's here. And I was like, what are you, you know, I was like, what are you talking about? And then Luke woke up that morning. He said, Mom, I heard laughing all night long. It was Ray's laugh. And it was all like, he's heard it through the night, his laugh.
Oh.
Mhm. So,
Wow.
yeah. And I did, like, I could feel this like tingling like throughout my body, especially that whole night. And I was like freezing at certain times, but there was this like tremendous like tingling going through my body. But
Mhm.
then I would have a moment of no numbness, and it would get to the point where I was saying, no, this can't be real. And I was getting to the point like, oh my gosh, that's like fight or flight. And I was just not going to run. I said, I'm gonna scratch my skin off. As soon as it would get to the worst possible point, it was like another wave. All the numbness came back again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy how your body, your mind, whatever protects you like that, because I was literally like, I said, I can't take it. I was just ready to jump out of there, you know, and just like run anywhere, like to say that it's not happening. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that morning that Amelia, you know, died when I started out like when she died, and I knew that she had died because she like had a seizure, and she had never had a seizure before. And she had a seizure, and then when it stopped, she had blood coming out of her nose and her ears. And so then I was just like, so then I'm screaming her name. And that was the only time that day that I remember screaming, because then like you said, then suddenly just like, I didn't know, like I just went into shock. And then the paramedics and that get here, and they rushed me out of the bathroom where she was at. And I was down in the kitchen, and I just remember like, I was just pacing, and I was like, just rambling. I was just, and one of the officers was like, is there somebody that you can call? Because I already called my husband, and he was on his way home, but that was 2 hours, you know. And so I called my best friend who lived in Valpo. And so it was like a 15-minute drive for her to get here, you know. And then Maddie and Jack are in the kitchen with me. I just remember I'm pacing, and then I was just rambling stuff, and I don't even remember what I was rambling, you know. And then when my friend got here and they were taking Amelia out, she's like, I had my pajamas on, you know, she's like, at least go change your pants, you know, put some jeans or something on really fast, and let's get to the hospital. So I was like, okay. And it was just like, I was just like, okay. And then I went up and I just stood in my bathroom. I didn't like even know what to even do. And then she came up there and she's like, Bonnie, we need to go. And I'm just like, okay. And I just kept standing there. And then I was like, oh, you know, and then we got to the hospital. I just remember just sitting there, and then I had to start making phone calls, you know, to like let my mom know, and, you know, and stuff, you know, what was going on. And then when they came to get us and tell us, you know, that she was in fact gone, I just sunk down in a chair, and I just sat there with my head down. Like there was no reaction. And I know prior to her dying, I always thought, oh my gosh, if one of my kids were to pass away, I would freak out. I would be screaming. I would be a wreck. I would just not be. And like none of that happened that day.
Right,
like
yeah. And you feel bad. Do you feel bad because
I did,
what is
yes.
wrong with
I
me?
did
Right.
too.
Yeah. Like, especially if other people are around you, like crying like crazy, and you're just, I was numb. I remember the whole funeral numb, and
Yes.
people coming in and crying. Like I kept thinking, okay, when I go to the funeral home and I see him, because I just kept thinking it was because it wasn't real, because I didn't see him. When I see him, it'll be real. And I remember going in there, and he looked just exactly like himself, and I still didn't happen.
Yeah.
Still didn't happen. And I said, you know, and then the next thing, you know, people coming in and they're crying and crying and crying, and I'm just like, what is wrong with me? And I kept going to the coffin, and I kept saying, Ray, you need to stop this. You're protecting me. I know you're doing it. You need to stop this. People are looking at me like something's wrong with me. I said, you've got to stop. Right. But I would come home and I would cry. Like I would read the things and I would cry, and I'd listen to music and I would cry, and I'd cry at night, cry in the shower, cry in the car, but I couldn't do it at the funeral home.
Yeah. I didn't either. Did you feel the need to like comfort everybody else? Because
And people are coming up to me. And then one woman said, Carolyn, I can see such pain behind your eyes. And I wish I could just take it away. She said, but you're not crying, but you can see it. And it's like, they thought I was holding back or something, you know? So they're saying, oh, you don't have to hold back. You don't have to be strong, you know, but it wasn't
that.
there. Yeah. And that made me feel terrible, you know, because like, I just felt people were looking at me thinking like, what is wrong with her? You know, she's his mother, and she's not even crying.
Right.
You know, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I felt terrible.
That's exactly how I was too. I didn't cry during either one of the services really. And everybody just kept coming up and hugging, and, you know, I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh, it's okay. Thank you. You know, and I remember at night, you know, thinking like at her, you know, the night of her wake, you know, I'm thinking, boy, I was telling everybody that it's okay. You know, it was just odd because I just felt like I just had to comfort everybody else, but yet they were there to comfort us.
Right.
oh no, I'm okay. It's okay. It's okay. And I feel like you know, I thought, gosh, they probably think I'm nuts or whatever, but I think they understood that it was just shock, you know, because
Shock.
at that time was only a couple of days after, you
Mm.
know, into it. And it's like, because you are in shock, you just don't, you know. And I have to say, honestly, to this day, I'm still in shock that Amelia's gone. It still is just very, it doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem, I I'm used to her not being here, and I hate saying that. I feel bad saying that because I don't want to be used to her not being here. But in the same way too, it just is still shocking. Like, you know, I have only maybe sat at the dinner table a handful of times since she's passed away because I don't want to sit, like, I just don't want to sit here. So my grief counselor said I'm still trying to separate myself from the family and not accept that she's not here. So I'll stand at the island and eat while my family sits at the table because I just, you know, I have a hard time just because our family is not complete anymore because she's not here. So I just don't like, I just feel like, oh, I just don't want to sit with you guys. I'll stand here and talk and stuff, but I don't want to sit at the table without Bump. We call her Bump. I just don't want to sit here without her being here. It was still hard.
How'd she get her nickname?
My husband came up with it because she was just really small. She was a tall girl, but she was just like really just thin. And when she was little, you know, like a baby, he just said, "Oh my gosh, she's like small, like a little bump." And then so the bump. So like on her urn, we had, you know, her Amelia, Joan, and then in quotes Bump, you know, on her urn, and then on the headstone it says Amelia Bump, you know, on there too, because that's just what we always called her. Yeah. So
do you ever feel like, and then there's a weird thing that feels like comfort to me that he's with me, and he'll be with me, like some of that is like, you know what I'm saying? Like that he's with me.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
and I kept begging Amelia to give me a sign, and I still do, you know, and I just wanted to know that, you know, she was okay. And I think it was probably 5 months after she passed away that I had a dream about her. And we were like shopping, and we were standing at the back of Mark's pickup truck, and we had the gate down, and we were loading stuff in there, and Amelia was standing next to me like she always did, you know, after shopping and stuff, you know, and I was just talking to her, you know, and everything. And so in the dream, it was like she was still here and everything was still normal. And then it like changed, because then next thing I know, she's like kneeling it up on the bed of the truck, and she's looking at me, and there was just all this like light around her, and I just felt like so much peace, you know. And she was just like, you know, "I'm okay, mommy." And then I was just like, and then she hugged me, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't want to wake up because, you know, I just wanted to just keep on, you know, hugging her. And then when I woke up, I was like, oh wow, okay, that was like God just allowed her to come in for a brief second and let me know that she was okay, and I got to feel her again. Because that's, you know, of course you miss their hugs and you miss everything about them, but I got to know in that moment that she is okay. She is at peace and she's happy. And I know my mom probably won't be able to share it, but my mom just had a really wonderful dream about Amelia too. My mom said she feels like she was up in Amelia's house in heaven with how wonderful it all was. And she just had that dream recently, you know.
So you were like 5 months before you had a dream about her?
Yeah, it was about 5 months in, and I finally had a dream. But I found like a note from her, you know, like in one of my fits of just, you know, crying and hysteria and, you know, stuff. And I went into a drawer and I got a notebook out and I opened it up, and I opened right up to a letter that she had written me like probably a year before that, and just telling me what a great mommy I am and how much she loves me and I'm the best mommy in the world. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And that's happened 3 other times now since then. I found 4 letters from her that she had written me over the years that, you know, I knew I just had forgotten about them. But in the times of like, I think maybe some of my deepest despair, you know, where it's just, because, you know, you feel like you're going to go crazy at times. Like I literally, even to this day, I have moments where I just think, okay, if I let myself go, like, I just feel like I will go, like I'll lose my mind. And then I always find something from her that pulls me back.
My son Ray was like very into computers. He built this one. He built all kinds of computers, and so I found right after he passed, when I went to I just went to go look at my last phone call, whatever, what it was from, and I right in where it says the info about everybody, I looked at every one of my kids, there's nothing there. In the notes of his, it says, "Oh, okay, mom."
Oh,
Yeah, and I don't remember ever putting that there, but that's what it says. And then the 3 phone calls I got, but then also after that, the other day, I went on my Amazon account, and I go on my Amazon account all the time, right? And when you go, it said Ray's wish list. So, and I said, what is this? Right. So I went there was nothing, like the list was created, and I said, I've never seen that before. What is that? How did that get there? And I just said, if it even was there, then I know like he queued that because he loved Amazon. I loved Amazon. And, I'm looking at it and I'm like, what's it? I don't remember ever putting that there. And I didn't have one. I don't have one for any of my other kids went for, so just like I said, just how he made that happen. And then I think it was a morning or 2 after, maybe at the funeral and stuff, somebody said, listen to your electronics. Oh, another woman that lost her son. She said like their electronics started making weird noises, like the refrigerator. And that morning our refrigerator made a weird noise. And then my computer, the one he built, did something like really weird for like 2 straight minutes. And then it stopped. So it's like, yeah, I think he's, I think that those are like things from him, because those are exactly what he would do with electronics.
Yeah, they're always sending us signs. We just have to be open enough to see them.
And the eagle, what the eagle is doing, I mean, people on lakes, I've never seen the eagle act like that in all my life. He threw a freaking boulder in the lake. I don't know how this eagle did this, but he did. And it's crazy. And he flies so close to me that it's almost scary. But I can just see the feathers low. Normally he'll be high up, and I have to get that video off my phone. But I was just like freaking out with that eagle.
Wow.
So yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think and the cardinal keeps landing. We always had cardinals around but he's landing on the porch railing, right, that you can see right through the kitchen window. Never did I see, and like Luke said to me the other day, oh, there's the cardinal again, right on the porch railing.
Oh my goodness.
And he just stays there for a while. And yeah, so it's
and those are visitors from heaven. I believe that with the cardinals.
Oh yeah. Someone said like your loved one can put, like, I never understood, like at first I thought they said, well, the cardinal is them. Then I said, no, but they say it's their energy they're able to put into an animal for just a short amount of time that makes the animal act out of character.
Okay.
To give you the sign. And that made me feel better than thinking like my loved one was this, like the butterfly or the cardinal, but no, it's your loved one putting the energy in. And that seemed more realistic to me,
Oh, wow. Well, I know Amelia, she loved seagulls. I do not know why, but she always loved seagulls, and she would always name them. Her famous names for them was always Stephen, Jimmy, Jeff, and Bob. And she always make up stories. She'd always yell at them to go home, and always just being funny about them. And I was at Starbucks yesterday, and I was walking out, and 2 seagulls were within 10 feet of me, and one of them was just walking normally, and the other one was walking and had its head down and was just letting out this like really loud screech, and I had never seen anything like that before. And I just looked over and I started giggling. I said, Stephen and Jeffrey, you just better stop it. And I said, isn't that funny, Amelia? And I started laughing because I thought that's probably her making me pay attention to them, because I had never seen a seagull screaming like that with its head down, and the other seagull was just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if it bothers you that you like, did I tell Ray that? Did I tell him about that program? Like, I think about silly things like, did I tell him that I was watching that movie? Did I know what he felt about that movie? Did he like that movie? Did he see that movie? Did he, it's that kind of stuff bothers me. Like, I didn't tell him, or I didn't ask him that question, this stupid question about whittling the whistle that I never that I tried to ask like a couple of times. I had the same thing with my mother. I tried to ask my mother something, and I said, oh, I'll ask her. And then she passed away, and I never, asked her. The same kind of stuff comes with me. Like, did I tell him this? Did I tell him that? Did I ever tell him I was watching that, or get his opinion on this?
Yeah. My thing is I always worry about forgetting certain things, you know, about her and things that she did love. So I've just always, I probably started within a couple of weeks or so after she passed away, and I just started writing down everything that I knew she loved and that she liked. And, you know, and sometimes even now something will pop into my head. Oh yeah, she liked this. And I'll write that down because, you know, I want to be able to go back, you know, as time goes on and just remember the things, you know, that she did, you know, love and enjoy. Because I know as we all get older, our memories, you know, start to fade.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. And people remember different things. Like somebody was saying, because like one of his friends came to the funeral, and my gosh, he was crying like crazy. But he was telling, you know, somebody was talking to him, and he said, you know, I just talked to him the other day about his car, and he wanted me to do something. He said, but I remember he was telling a story about where they were driving in a snowstorm, and the car started spinning like crazy. He's like, I thought we were gonna die. And he goes, and then the car came to a stop, and he goes, you know, Ray, he just goes like this, you okay, man? You know, like, and he was laughing, and like, I had never heard that, you know. He's like, but he's like, the car is just spinning and spinning and spinning. He's like, I thought we were gonna, because it's like country roads and you can go right off a cliff. And he's like, it just came to the stop. And he goes, Ray just doesn't say, he just goes, you okay, Joe? All right. You know, and but to hear different stories, right? And then I went on Facebook and saw like another friend of his had put up something about him, about like how he's the smartest kid he knew, and he could figure anything out in a minute, like how he built computers or whatever he did. He'd just give it, if he just wanted to learn something new, he'd have it down, you know, he'd go learn everything he could about it. And so, yeah, when I see different things about different perspectives, that something good to, you know,
yeah, it's comforting. It's comforting to hear others, you know, other people's stories about our kids, because obviously we weren't always with them all the time. So people have, you know, things about them that we necessarily didn't, or, you know, have shared experiences with them that we haven't. So I love hearing those things, those stories. Then it just gives me another perspective on Amelia, and, you know, how she was with her friends, and, you know, just one more, you know, thing that's positive to hear about her. And I live for that stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, but like you said, about the grandchild, you know, that's a big thing. Like I even have like these like crazy dreams, like some girl's going to come to me and say, hey, you know what, this is, you know, like, but right, because it's like the one thing that you don't even have a piece. So I do envy people whose adult children have passed that have a grandchild, at least, you know, like some little piece of them.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
they are very fortunate.
You know, that part of it, it's the grieving of all the dreams of all the, you know.
Yep. Yeah, and Mary Claire is really lucky to have her grandson, because that is a little piece of her son walking
Yes,
around.
it is.
Yeah.
I'd never heard touch tone before you said that, Carolyn. Meaning he was just your best friend, and you got each other, your yin and yang.
Yeah. We did, yeah, and like we could just talk for hours, and you know, we did such silly things, like we would make our own little memes, like you know, like the ones that are like, yeah, but I would do them on my own. He would go, where did you learn to do, you know, because I was like, okay, you know, but he and we connected on a lot of different ways, and he would watch like different YouTube, especially at the end before he died. It was Tiger King, and he was,
I remember you saying it.
He was telling me all about that, and he said, oh, this guy's a smaller channel, you should have that person there, or you should have that one on. And it was funny. And when Jay Bells came, you know, we were sitting down because it was Michael's birthday, and they both came up, and he was talking about YouTube people, and he was talking about that Grant D'Amato thing. And then he said, you know who did, and he mentions this other creator, it's like Chapters something or whatever it's called. And I said, oh my gosh, you're not watching me? And he's like, oh, you know, we were laughing because it's very funny. And that's when he said, but no, but he goes, I did watch your Grant D'Amato thing. And he's like, this Bethany Scobie, she said something about the Ramblers and blah, 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 blah. And that's where he said that thing to me. And I have it in a text. He said, he said, they really love you, Mom. They really love you. He goes, I never heard Ramblers. They're called Ramblers. And I said, yeah, if you watched, maybe you see. You know, so,
did he come on, or was it Michael?
Yeah, they both came on once, and I'm glad I have that. I'm glad I have his voice there. I haven't been able to listen to it, because that's one of the things I was afraid of, because you know how people don't leave voicemails now and it's gone to text now. And so I'm just like, and now I'm going through like every video and anyone I could hear his voice in. But then I remembered that video, or somebody reminded me of that video, and I remember feeling so good, but then I couldn't watch it. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, I want to just have that there, that I have his voice, and not like that I have the finality of that's his voice. You know, I don't know if you've had that. So yeah, I just want to just keep it there, and then maybe I'll, you know, listen to it. But yeah, I was very glad that I had that. So,
Yeah.
just to have that to
Yep.
hold on to, because yeah, it's all we have is our memories, right? To hold on. And then I think like, oh my gosh, am I going to regret, like, you know, oh my gosh, I didn't keep all of his school, you know, like, or are you going to regret like any little thing that you let go, or right? Because you know, most of the time people tell you, and they did tell me, like, oh, you have your kids, right? You don't need to hold on to every school paper. They're going to do.
Right.
And when you lose a child, it's like, no, that's all I have left now. And then you feel guilty about like anything. So that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's moved in that stuff from her locker and her book bag or anything. I'll look through it and go through it. Still have like her little magnetic whiteboard that she had in her locker, and she had written all of her classes on there, and like if she had homework, you know, or anything. And I'm just like, I'm not messing with that. I'm gonna always keep that and try to, you know, just, you know, you just cherish it, you know. I do have some stuff from all of them, from like, I think preschool and kindergarten, but I think probably anything after that. And I had always kept this, they had to do these critters for like a recycling project, and hers was the only one that we kept because it came out the best. Because even Daddy had to do one, but we made a pig, and we called it Lucy Starbucks, out of a milk gallon jug, and it's still sitting, you know, in the hallway upstairs, you know. And I always, you know, look at that, and I remember us making that together and laughing that we named her, you know, after Starbucks, you know.
But yeah, that's some of this hard stuff there. But I think, yeah, to having people to talk to, and I think I see a lot of people in the chat have gone through losing kids, and hey, Davida, how are you? And all of this. So I hope that some of you that are in the chat will join us on the next one and come and talk a little bit about what, you know, because I think it helps people. I mean, I can just see in the chat, and some people can't get out to, well, a lot of people can't get out to meetings now, right? I don't even know if Compassionate Friends or what, that they're mostly online, as from what I hear. Maybe slowly they'll be online, but like Johnny Cuddy, and maybe you can come. I don't know if you're in the grief panel, Johnny, you could send me an email if you ever want to come on and talk about your experience, or anybody else here that's Davida, you know, you're there already. But, and I spoke to Davida on the phone, and that's one thing you know, when you speak to people on the phone, so one thing I've seen, and the first person said it to me, she had reached out to my son. When we were in the funeral home, my son said, this woman, Carrie, she's messaging me on Facebook, and I think you should talk to her. She said she lost her son, and she knows what you're going through, and she'd love to, you know, get in contact with you. And then she sent a message to my daughter, and I guess she had been sending messages to me on Facebook, but I'm rarely on Facebook anymore. And I just didn't, like, that's one thing, I can't really go on Facebook anymore because, you know, all of like the superficial message, like I just can't deal with that right now, a lot of that. And, you know, maybe, and sometime I will, but.
Is somebody running your thing that you started over there? The Mommy Rambler?
Oh, no, that I can do, because that I just have to share my blog post or something that I can do.
Gotcha.
But on my personal, you know, like when somebody says, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday today, or this one is going to show, you know, I can't get into the personal page. I'm fine with the blog pages. Those are okay. But yeah, just the person, I mean, I go over a little bit, but there's only so much I can take of that, you know, but I do read the messages and I do appreciate them. You know, it's just, it's hard, but yeah, to anybody that's in the chat, please, because like this woman reached out to me, and when she called me, she said what she's found too is these people that have been through this, there's some kind of bond. Nobody wants to be in that club, but there's an immediate, like a bond that, you know, everybody's got this kinship there. So it's very, and that's what I've seen to this point. Like when I spoke to Davida on the phone, and when I talked to you guys, and, you know, when I talked to this woman, Carrie, who she's a nurse and she lost her son, you know, at the age of 19. And it's just been instantaneous. Like there's not an uncomfortable moment when you're talking and speaking with them. It's just, it flows. And she says she sees the same thing. And I've seen that go on, you know, but
Yep.
yeah, I hope that some of you that are in the chat will, if you're not, I know like manager, you are in there, and Davida, that you'll come on and talk on the next one.
Did you add Kathy from Texas? She wanted to be added to the grief panel.
Oh, did I not add her? I'll check. I'll add that.
That was the other day. She said that.
Oh, okay, Kathy, I'll add you. But yeah, so I hope that some of you will come on and talk, and I hope that this was beneficial to some of you in the chat. And yeah, because I see, I will go through and read your comments. It's hard to do both, but you know, I see that, and I do find comfort in the comments, and there's comments for you ladies too.
I'm glad Mary Claire found you too.
Yeah. I'm glad she came on. I just wish her sounded a bit better, because I felt bad but yeah, I think for the most part we could understand, and hope that she will come on again. But this was beneficial to me. I hope that you guys feel.
Yes, to me too.
Yes.
And
It helps just to talk, even if it, you know, I say the same thing over and over again. Every time I talk about it.
Reaching somebody else, you know, probably that's never, you know, had this, and maybe somebody else that just lost a child tonight, or, you know, or will lose a child tomorrow, or, you know, I think our words, even if we repeat them, there's somebody that hasn't heard them.
Right. Yeah. And that's true. And it is just comforting to know that, you know, because like I said before, that was the one thing that I was just so worried about, was just, I just had to know that at some point I would be okay. I didn't know when I was going to be okay. I just had to see another parent that was going through the same thing I was. And just, I did find comfort in knowing that, you know what, I will, it sucks. There's no other way to put it. It just
sucks.
sucks.
Yeah.
It's just always going to suck. But at least, you know, I know that I'm okay, and I will be okay. And, you know, I feel that, you know, I have to go on, because I know that Amelia wouldn't want me to just curl up in a corner and, you know, not live, you know. So now it's kind of like, well, when we're doing stuff, it's like the kids and I will say to each other, you know, oh my gosh, Amelia would have loved this. Amelia would love, you know, being here, you know. And we used to go to a place called Indiana Beach every summer and get summer passes, and it's an amusement park here that was around when I was a kid. So that's how long I've been going to this place, you know. So it's very, very special to me. And then they got sick of it, and they're like, can we like get season passes or something, maybe Great America next year? So I'm like, well, I don't know, we'll see. And I ended up getting them season passes to Great America for Christmas, and Amelia then passed away. So then I was like mad, because like, I'm like, oh, she never got to go to Great America, and I was surprising them on Christmas, you know, and
Yeah.
with Great America passes. But now that's what we can't go back to Indiana Beach, right? That's still one thing I cannot do. And my mom can't, like, we can't, we had so much fun there. It's just, but then there are other things that, you know, we can do. Like on Amelia's birthday, we usually go to her favorite restaurant, which was in Bass Pro. I don't know how to say it. It's that fish market restaurant, Isla Morada or something like that. But that's where she always wanted to go for her birthday. So we just last year started going there, you know, and trying to make something positive out of it.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then as far as
Definitely.
Facebook goes, I didn't get on Facebook for a year, but now I love going on there because I like seeing the memories, you know. 'cause
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I do think it's like also all the text messages I have with him. Like I haven't gone through them all, because again, I don't want to go through them all, because I want to, I'm just afraid like I won't have what, you know, I don't want the finality of that. Oh wait, I don't have that, you know, so it's just, if it's like that, I have that somewhere.
Yep.
But
That's like with those voicemails that Bonnie mentioned that I have. I even, you know, I made sure that they're saved on my old phone and everything. And then I put them onto a tablet, and I bought a recorder too, but the recorder's still in the package because I can't put it on there without hearing them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
right.
But so I just, you know, I know they're there. So as long as I charge the phone up, they're there.
Right, right. And I'm like so afraid, like of like I'm looking for like every, I don't know if you have this, I'm looking for like every picture, every how like I go, where is that video that, oh my gosh, I had of this. And like especially this is before the funeral. I was running around and I was going because I keep everything and I keep them on chips. I just buy new chips and I was freaking that I couldn't find it, right? And Jim's like, you'll find it. It's on the, but it was like right away. I was thinking like, how do I not have this? And I know, I have it, but I just like, why am I obsessing? Because it gave me something to obsess about, that do I have this? Do I have this video? Do I have that or that picture?
Yeah.
Just
Don't be obsessed because that's all we have left.
right. Yeah. But then it's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like if you didn't have it, like what, like it almost feels like your whole life. And I'm like, how would your whole, it just, but that's how it feels at the time.
Yeah.
Even though you have like thousands and thousands of other things, you obsess over like one little thing. And I think it just gives you something to focus on there.
Yeah.
That's like, I keep going down the rabbit hole. I've done this, 3 times or now, where I told you about that reborn lady that I showed Amelia that one day, and her and I were watching her.
Yes.
She was that older lady. And
Yep.
I still, at times, I'll stop and I'll start trying to find that lady, and I will be looking for hours. And I can't find her. I know Kelly Maple was the other one, the young girl, and Amelia didn't like her. She's like, no, let's go back to that older lady. So I have still been trying. I can't.
It wasn't In Love Reborns. What, did she have really short hair?
She's not that one with the tattoos and everything.
Oh, no, not that one.
No, it's not her. She was an older lady.
Oh, wait, she wasn't the one that died, Little X Loves?
I don't know why she died. Somebody died.
Yeah. She had the doll she had that was the most famous was, oh gosh, what was her name? It was a blonde haired doll. She's a very famous mold, but she had the most famous like one, and she called her, what the heck did she call her? She was blonde hair. She lived in Florida, I think. Is that the one you mean or not? Was she heavy?
I can't remember. She was just older, and I was showing Amelia, and it was so cute. And she was bathing this doll, a newborn, and then changing it. Oh, she was feeding it, feeding another baby food. And I just thought Amelia would get a kick out of it, and she did, but she thought it was pretty cool too. I always try to find her so I can watch that again.
Maybe I'll have to talk to you about it. I might be able to help you. I know a lot of them.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
But she didn't like Kelly Maple. I said, I think you'll really like this other girl. She's a young she's a teen. I said, you won't believe, all the dolls she has. You'll really like her. So we started watching her, and after 5 minutes, she goes, I like that older lady better.
But there was also that Julie's Reborns too, which was a younger girl, but then her mother kind of took over the channel because the girl didn't want to do it anymore, and they were making a lot of money, and I guess the mother didn't want to lose that income. So the mother took over the channel, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
that might be it too. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But maybe you'll tell me something that it'll trigger my memory, because I do a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even think of it. What I know the doll's face. It's the same one that Kelly Maple has. She has one of them too, but it wasn't Bree. I forget what the heck. It was a weird name. And then one of the other reborn ladies, which was an older lady, got that doll when that woman died. She left it to this other lady.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if she's the one that's
very famous doll among the reborners. What?
I wonder if this is the one if she's the one that died.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't they have a doll maker that can?
I know I'll find her sometime. I know it.
Yeah. I don't know, Davita. Sometimes like they never do look like, I don't know, like some people have the dolls made that look like their kids, but I think maybe to everyone else, but sometimes to the person themselves, they never look the same. I don't know.
Those dolls, I don't know. They're a little freaky to me.
Yeah. I mean, I've had dolls that like resembled my kids, like, but I don't know. And sometimes I see dolls that resemble like my sister's like granddaughter, like, but I don't know if she would think it resembles. Sometimes you think it resembles somebody's kid or something, and the parent doesn't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's weird.
I know that's a big thing though, those reborn dolls.
Yeah, yeah. You got
My
some-
mom's sister has 2 of them. So yeah. My
Oh,
girl, American Girl dolls, that's what they liked.
Cynthia is saying something. She said, I got so sad that recently I felt desperate. I almost made an appointment with a medium to have contact, but I'm a Christian and a friend talked me out of it. Yeah, there is like a lot of the books that I'm reading, some of them, even though they were Christian or Catholic, they went to the mediums. Some of them had conflicts, but some of them needed to go. Did you ever go to anything like that?
I have,
didn't.
no, I haven't, just because of our religious beliefs. Yeah, I am conflicted, and I don't want to do anything that I shouldn't be doing. So, but I'm not opposed to people wanting to do it. I mean, if that's what brings them comfort, because I do believe that our loved ones can come back and see us and visit us. But I like, you know what I mean? I don't want to say.
I always liked John Edwards,
You know.
and one of my friends that lost her mom went into Houston when he was here, and she got a reading in the audience, and it was everything he said was about her mom. So she
Yeah.
stood up, and I think she's gone and seen him 4 more times.
Oh wow! My mom and I went and saw the Long Island medium. She came to our.
Teresa?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what Davita just said. Davita just said, I've even thought about
Fascinating.
going to see Teresa Caputo.
Yeah, we saw her, and she was wonderful, and I mean, I do believe in that stuff. I'm just afraid to go myself. But I
That was years ago, though,
that was
before any of this happened.
that was probably
He
like
was
8 or
doing that a show.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Huh.
But
Yeah, I know my girlfriend went when her mother died. She said, Carolyn, I just had to go. I have to go. I have to, and it helped her. And, I don't know. I think they said there are even Christian media. I think I just read that somewhere, Christian mediums. So I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I think John Edwards is, but my mom still says, you're not going, are you? I read a couple of his books. I liked them.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I believe in them. I have no problem with them or anybody else doing it. I just it just scares me, I guess. But I think it's a real thing. I do.
Absolutely.
Right.
I believe in a lot of it too. I really do. And I spent another time, remember that whole day obsessing, trying to find that Facebook post when I had put it up. I couldn't figure out if it was before, Amelia passed, but that lady that talked to me, that cashier in the grocery store that day, how weird that was. How she kept just staring at me, and she's telling everybody in line, how she does all these things and knows all these things that are going to happen, but yet she's not a medium, she's not a psychic. She's just going on and on and on, and she wouldn't shut up. And then it was my turn to check out, and I was just kind of chuckling, and I said, well, since you're telling them everything, what are you going to tell me about me? And she just looked at me, and she said, oh, I'm nothing, you're fine. And I said, what do you mean? Because she was like, oh, didn't want to say anything then. She just kept looking away, and she's like, oh, nothing. And it was just so bizarre. And I even wrote about it on my post, and I can't remember. She just made me feel real weird. I said, what, am I going to die? Because I'm thinking, okay, all the cancer, has that come back? But I said, am I dying or something? And she just looked at me and she said, no, you're not. She goes, I'm not going to say, or I don't want to talk about it. She changed the subject.
Yeah, that's so weird.
I know. She just made me feel so weird.
Yeah. She must have had a premonition. She must have known.
That's what I was thinking, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Sometimes, if you've ever had like a Christmas ornament or something, like, have you ever dropped of your kids and you think, oh my gosh, something's going to happen to them because you did like, and it was actually raised and it was a few years ago. And like I dropped it and something like it broke apart, but it was, yeah, I could put it back together. And I thought, and I just got this weird feeling. And I said to Jimmy, I'm like, does this mean something's going to happen to, like, just like a crazy thing? Like, and then he's like, well, come on. It's so the ornament is going to mean that this thing, but now you go back. Now the same thing could have happened to something at my door, you know, but because it didn't, but I have like weird things that happen like that.
Yeah.
And like this dream, I had this dream about 2 weeks before that both Ray and Michael were killed. And
I remember you saying that.
yes, and I came on a lot, and it was so real, the dream. And I remember, like, even when I woke up, it wasn't like you woke up out of a dream. Like, it was horrible. Like, I kept saying, oh my gosh. And then slowly, you know, I started saying, and I called both of them. And I remember like the one of both of them actually, I was like, thanks for telling me, Mom, you know, they're great. And I said, no, I'm just telling you to be careful because I had this horrible dream. And then I said, well, how did I die? And I said, you died in a car accident. And he was like, you know, so I'm like, just telling you to be careful and this and that. And it's like, it's so freaky to me that I had that dream. But now, of course, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I had that dream about 2 sons, right? Does that mean that, you know, something, and that's freaking me out a little bit. Right. You know, so it's like, yeah.
That was something when my sister's 19-year-old daughter died unexpectedly from a asthma attack. She told me later that she said for 2 weeks prior to Jerry dying, she said she had the most terrible feeling in her stomach. She said it was just like a knot, an ache that wouldn't go away, and she couldn't figure it out. So you know.
And you know what was really weird? The live that we were on, that whole day, like I thought it was that, and Lisa will laugh at this. I thought it was that I was like upset that Lisa was late or something, but it wasn't that. I had this like agitated feeling. I didn't know where to put it. Like, you know, I kept saying, why am I feeling like agitated? Is it because Lisa's late or something, right? Or she didn't check. Now, when I look back, Davida also told me she had this like agitated feeling. She was at some, I forget what, a comedy show or whatever it was, right about at the time that something happened to her daughter. And she said she was just an uneasy feeling. And now she places it back. But now when I think about it, it wasn't Lisa. It was whatever was going, like, it's just some thing that was making me really agitated because something was happening. And I didn't know what it was. So it was good, you know, like, what am I going to say? I didn't know anything, you know, was going to happen. So I was like saying, what could it be? Could it be that Lisa's late, or, you know, we didn't get to start on time? And then I didn't know, but then I thought about it later on. And just that uneasy feeling was, you know, I'm sure it was related to what was going on and what happened.
Yeah, I believe that.
Restlessness, yeah, like that. Yeah, it was like that's what it was. And I was like, the whole live, I know I was sitting, I was like, why am I feeling like I was berating myself? Like, it's not her fault. She had to go stop and get something for, you know, like a wrist brace or something. And I remember just feeling like it was really displaced. Like, why am I getting so upset? Am I upset with Lisa? This is silly, right? But it had nothing to do with that. Yeah, I just didn't know what was going on.
I remember that live when you were saying all that.
Yeah.
But I thought you were just joking, but you really were.
I was upset. Like feeling really agitated. Like, that's what I'm saying. And I don't know what, like, and then like everything was like agitating me. So, you know, like she was like having to stop and start. Oh, I've got to ask this. Oh, I might have to go out again to get this thing, you know. And I was just, you know, because I was upset, like she didn't get the mail first, you know, that she was supposed to get, and so I sent her, and we're getting, yeah, it was just, but I knew it was totally like, it didn't make sense, so now it does.
Yeah, you just must have known
Yeah, I
subconscious.
think just that something was really uneasy in me and I had nothing like, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
Davita told me the same type of thing. She was feeling really agitated, like before this guy came or whoever they were going to see came out on stage. And she didn't know why she was feeling like all this agitation and uneasiness kind of stuff, right, Davita? But then when she said that, it brought me back to that. And yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any of that. Because like I said, I just thought that Amelia, she was just sick, and then she was feeling better Thursday night until she went to bed and started feeling bad again. But yeah, so I don't know that feeling, but yeah. But I understand. I believe in that. I believe that you were being forewarned, but you didn't realize
Protect-
it.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know what was the deal, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer. I always tell my kids when they start to say something like, "Oh, I hope," and I'm like, "Don't say that. Don't put that out into the universe because we don't want to make that come true, or don't jinx it, or just what I've always been at."
Thanks, Vivian. Yeah, and there's one thing that my mother always said that's kept with me. My aunt passed away at 52 from a blood clot after surgery, and she told my mother that she was pregnant. She said, "You're pregnant again." Even my mother said, "Are you kidding? I'm not planning on having any more kids." She said, "No, you're pregnant." And my mother was with me, but she found out after she died. But
Aw.
then she said something like, "Come on, let's take one last picture," meaning, and my mother, the whole time I grew up, if anybody ever said that, one last time, let's go in the water one last time, let's go take one last picture, my mother would go, "No, no, 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 don't say that. Don't say," and I to this day, and Jimmy does it all the time, like, "Let's just get one last, let me ask you one last question." I'm like, "Don't say it." He goes, "Oh yeah, okay, until the next time," like, but I can't stand that. I don't want to hear one last picture. But it's just something I grew up with, and has a very negative connotation. So it's not, no, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear that. So, but a lot of people, say it's like my sister, the same thing, especially like if you're at a reunion. Okay, let's get one last one. Everybody get in.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we can say, don't call it one last one. It's not one last one.
Well, I can understand. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I
Me
can't
either.
stand that expression. It makes me nuts.
Yeah.
Just my mother had such a heart, like she didn't say anything then, but she's like, "That was the last picture I took," and that's what she said. One last picture. Let's get one last picture, and that's it. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. So but stuff like that. But all right, guys. I know poor Tammy looks tired, right?
I'm eating popcorn.
Are you eating
I usually do take my Tylenol PM and watch y'all open your mouths.
But all right, but I will end it like this. I think it's on a good note, and I really hope that you guys on the chat will join.
Yes, it's not scary at all, and you don't have to have face in here to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, but thanks for coming, Bonnie. Thanks, Tammy. Thanks, Scooter.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you all.
Mary
Thank
Claire.
you, Carolyn.
Yes, thank you.
All right, and thanks to everybody coming in the chat, to the moderators, and we'll open up in probably like 10 minutes with a lighter hearted affair.
I'm gonna jump in the shower.
You're gonna jump in the shower, okay. All right. See you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.